This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 9, Episode 9. It's brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington, and I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the mighty Rick Snyder Washington Empire. Sometimes we miss a show or two. It seems like I'm sick, Matt's sick, somebody's sick, but we're back again. So, guess who else is sick? The Washington Commanders, 3 straight losses on this. I noticed today they went from 66-1 to 150-1 to win the Super Bowl. It's going to be about like 1,000,000-1, but okay on there. But the first 2 losses, Buffalo, really good team, even though they've lost some since. Philly, good team, just you lost you got knocked out the last bunch. But, in Chicago kicks your butt, a friend of mine came up with the stat. No team that had lost 14 straight ever won their first game by 20 points.
Yeah.
All right. So that tells you something. Now everybody's hot and upset, and they play Atlanta on Sunday, and that's no gimme. Well, after Chicago, there are no gimmies, but
right.
This team is just suddenly seemed to have lost its mojo, and it's back to zero again.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I think the Bills lost their mentality was, if we can hang with them, this is a Super Bowl contender. Let's see what we can do. And they completely went out there. Hal had his worst game as a professional or as a starter. Those things are going to happen. The kid's still a rookie. I know he's in his second year, but he's still a rookie. It was, what was it? That was like his, 5th start or something like that. 3rd or 4th or 5th start against the Bills. With Philly, nobody gave him a chance. Everybody expected him to get spanked. So they went out there and they played free. And at the end of the day, they had a chance to win the game. And then I think with the Bears, they expected that they were just going to walk into the stadium and be given the victory. It don't work that way in the NFL. You still have to play the game and you still have to go in there. Rick, during our time away, I've heard a lot of, fire Del Rio and fire Ron and fire this guy and elevate Ryan Kerrigan and all this stuff. At the end of the day, I'm sure Del Rio's to blame for some of the scheme. I'm sure Ron is to blame for not having them prepared and not having them ready to play, because for some reason they've gone back to coming out flat every game. But you can't fire all the players. Are you going to fire Jamin Davis for not tackling, or are you going to fire the corners for not being able to cover DJ Moore? I mean, you can't just make full wholesale changes after a loss like this, even as bad as it was. This loss goes, the Bears loss especially goes on the defense and the coaching staff.
When I heard that Rivera basically didn't address the team at halftime of the Bears loss and told them to talk among themselves, I really starting to see a coach and along with Del Rio kind of check out mentally.
Yeah.
I don't see the spark in either man. EB, I guess is okay. I haven't seen EB much lately, but Del Rio, I know Del Rio and I know Rivera over 4 years. I don't know EB that way. And I can just see it. It's like, we're going to get fired anyway at the end of the year. Screw it. Dead man walking. I mean, and I once got a 90-day layoff notice. I understand what it's like to walk the last mile. It sucks. And you don't feel like doing anything. I just don't see it. And that's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
If you switch coaches right now, I tell you what you get. You get one good game, and you might win the first game. And then you go back to being what you were.
Right.
I've seen it times. And people, I've talked about this. They're always like, fire somebody. Everybody, this fan base just wants destruction every single step of the way.
Yeah.
And you can't fire Ron. Because you can. But if you fire Ron, who do you give the team to? Del Rio? Well, he's the cause of this mess. EB? I'm not sure EB would take it.
No.
Because I've seen coaches reject it. When they fired Norv, they were going to give it to Ray Rhodes. He said, I ain't having this on my resume. I got to still want to go head coach. Because you're thinking, man, do I want to be 3-9 and then everybody get fired and then the next owner goes to EB? Yeah, man, that 3-9, what's that about? You don't want that. They protect their 1-loss records at all costs. even winning a game at the end of the season when it's going to cost you that number one pick or something. That's what coaches do because they know they're judged ultimately by their one-loss record. And so
we need a fall guy like Terry Ribisky on this team. Didn't Terry Ribisky, wasn't he interim coach twice on this team or something?
Just once here, he's interim elsewhere. But I mean, you could throw it to the special teams coach, I guess. But then you look like punks. And the last thing Josh Harris wants to look like is incendiary like Dan Snyder was. So just go ahead, let it play itself out. And then what you have to do is you have to hire a GM.
Yes.
You have to hire a GM first. And I talked to two people today that knew Beathard and Gibbs very well. I was kind of a kid back then. And I said, was Beathard and Gibbs, were they friends that worked hard together, or were they co-worker kind of thing that worked separately but for the same cause in the company? And both people who would know very well said they were co-workers. They weren't necessarily friends. Now, they got along fine, but that wasn't it. And that was illustrated by the Joe Jacoby signing because Gibbs didn't want Jacoby. Nobody drafted him. He said, what am I going to do with this guy? And Bedford said, you're going to play him. And he said, I got the roster, final say. So, yes, you're keeping this guy. Now, Jacoby went on and should be in the Hall of Fame. That's what good GMs do. They say, listen, coach, I found you a guy, now go figure it out. Mm-hmm. And that's what you gotta have. You can't have this coach centric that Dan Snyder told everybody. And now Ron going, well, it's consensus. I'm bullshit. Come on.
And I mean, that's always been the MO of this team. I mean, even when they hired Shanahan, they hired Bruce Allen first, and that was a hand-picked job from Shanahan. Shanahan said, I want Bruce Allen as my GM / whatever the hell his title was. Harvest Fest creator, and then I'm going to control the roster. It's the same thing with Ron. Ron hired Marty and Marty because they were friends of his down in Carolina, and he brought him up here to have a job and to put their name on a title. They don't have anything to do with player selection. In the war room during the draft, there's no way that if Marty Herney stands up and says, well, I want this guy, and Ron Rivera says, well, I want this guy, that they're not picking the guy that Ron Rivera wants. And that's the thing. And, that's why a lot of people got angry because Josh Harris was smoking and joking during a 20-point loss. Josh Harris bought this team with a plan. Him, Mitchell Rales, Mark Ein, Magic Johnson. Magic, voicing his opinion on Twitter, that's different. Magic at heart is an athlete. Magic is going to be angry about wins and losses. That's what he is. He's an athlete. He's been on that other side. He is now in the owner's box. But Harris and Rails and these guys, they have a plan. They walked in, they handed the check for $6.5 or $6.05 billion and said, it's too soon to make changes. Ron has 1 year left on his contract. Every other coach is synced up with Ron. Let's see how this year plays out. And then at the end of the year, that's when we make our changes. Sorry, I like Jason Wright, but I don't think he's here for the long run. Jason Wright was brought in by Dan Snyder to make changes to make them more, I hate to say it, politically correct. But anyway, a young guy that was brought in with a young mindset. But, they're going to get rid of Jason Wright. They're going to get rid of the Martys. They're getting rid of Ron's going to go off into the sunset. Del Rio's going with him. Eric Bieniemy is the kind of wild card, I guess, in this whole thing. But Josh Harris has a plan. They're 2-3. You can't get off of your plan yet. You know what I mean?
And, with EB, everybody's suddenly goes, EB should be the head coach. Let me just say, EB's got to work on his game plan some first as OC. They threw 55 straight plays from the middle of the second quarter. Granted, you're down. I don't deny. When you're down that much, it's hard to pass. But what was it? One of the big stat groups was saying, Pro Football Focus, that they had never seen 55 straight since they opened in 2006. You cannot go 55 straight times. I'm amazed that nobody has really picked up on that. But, he's got to work on his game plans. He's not, worry about that. And we'll see how it comes out at the end of the year about head coaching.
Well, and what's the one thing that we've always heard about Eric Bieniemy all those years in Kansas City when he's winning Super Bowls and coaching Patrick Mahomes and he's Andy Reid's right-hand man? He's interviewed for this job, but we're going to go with this other candidate. So, I don't know what the deal with him not getting a head coaching job, but 5 games into your your new being the offensive coordinator and running the show for this new team, it's not time to make him head coach. It's just not time. Like you can't do it that soon. If
You're
EB,
right.
if EB proves himself this year, and the ownership group and the new general manager sit down and they say, hey, we really got something with this guy, let's promote him. The guys already know him. He can bring in a defensive coordinator to run the defense. Bieniemy can just run the team, pass his offensive mindset down to somebody that he's comfortable with to be the OC. That's fine. But like I said, the next 12 games are an evaluation period for every single person that wears a Commander's hat or has a key card to get in that building. Everybody is under a microscope by this new ownership group, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I thought at the beginning of the season, I thought 9 wins, maybe steal one. Okay, well, now it's more like a 6 or 7 because you blew one to Bears. You didn't get to steal the one against Philly. I mean, if they go 8-9, I'd be a little surprised. What I really would say is watch out for this one, because if they lose to Atlanta, then you got the Giants, who they never seem to match up with, but should be, but they don't. And then you got Philly, and suddenly you're staring at 2-6. I mean, it's a tough road right now for them. I just, with Bieniemy, wow, you got to run the ball once in a while. You can't have Brian Robinson run 6 times for 10 yards. It's not like he's running the ball like crazy. He should be better on this. But you can't just do 55 straight passing plays. So
Right.
to me, he's got some seasoning. He could do another year wherever. The only way you keep Bieniemy in a way is if you want to keep Sam Howell. And people are always like, why wouldn't you keep Sam Howell? And I try to explain to people, because let me explain to you how this works one more time, because I've done this for 45 years. GM wants his coach wants his quarterback. And even if Sam does decent, they don't want the predecessor's quarterback, because the predecessor wants somebody who sells tickets.
Right.
All these things. It's not about Sam. It's about other people.
Right.
Now, if he throws 1,000 yards, like it looks like he might, and Bieniemy would stay and say, well, I'll stay and I'm going to do Sam. Okay. But don't be surprised if it doesn't work that way, because it's not fair, but that's how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a pecking order. GM picks the coach picks the players, picks the quarterback that he's going to tie his wagon to. I mean, we've seen it in the NFL for 40 years.
Yeah. So we'll switch over one real quick before we go to a winning team called the Maryland Terrapins. Even though they didn't get to beat Ohio State, they threw a scare at them, but you still lost by 20 in the end. But 5-1, they play a bad Illinois team, so that'll make them 6-1. And I don't know, they make a bowl. To me, at Maryland, if you can go 8-4, maybe once in a while pick off one of the big teams like Penn State or Ohio State, that's a good year. You're not going to win the Big Ten. You win the Big Ten, that is one crazy, great year. But I think they've had a good year. But they have no crowd because it's not a football school; it's a basketball school.
Right.
It's not much of a basketball school in recent years either. Sports doesn't seem to be resonating as well in Maryland. But it's interesting to see the Terps back. They were ranked theoretically 26th before they lost to Ohio State.
What's your opinion of Talia?
Holy Toledo?
No, Talia Tagovailoa.
I don't know if he's as good as his brother or not, but he's a pretty good player. I mean, he's Boomer. He's got all the records now.
Yeah. I think he ends up being a fringe NFL player, maybe a backup somewhere, but or if he wants to, I mean, the USFL and the XFL are merging, so maybe he can go be a starter in the XFL for a year, prove it, and then get on a roster. But I tell you one thing, the kid has something that we haven't seen for a Maryland football team in a while, and that kid's got guts and he's got a heart. That boy, he is not afraid to go in there and lay a shoulder when he's on a run. He is not afraid to stand in there and take a hit. I mean, and for him coming back to Maryland for a 5th year, I mean, it's just you got to give the kid all the credit in the world. And like you said, he's got all the records. He beat Boomer, so I don't know. I the Terps are fun to watch.
They gave up $1.5 million supposedly to go play somewhere else. That's staggering.
Yeah, I
But
know.
good for him. All right, we got to go. I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
See you later this week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent with your hosts, Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.